Yes. Welcome back to another stream. How are you all doing? I hope you're all doing well on this international break. Bollocks. Once again, we're coming back to you with international break content. You wondered who my guest was. It's not LB. It's not Daps. It's the next best thing. It's my boy Joey. Joe from my own personal channel. I know Joe a long time. Some of you guys will remember Joe. He did a show here a couple of months back. So big up Joe. Show Joe some love in the chat. Make sure you have smashed the like button on this stream. It helps more people find the channel. It helps more people come into the streams and enjoy it with us. And subscribe if you're new around here. But we're going to do a bit of an August review. We're going to chat about the 4 fixtures we've had so far. There's obviously a Carabao Cup draw on there. There's a Champions League draw on there. So we're going to just assess where we're at after the first period of the season, if that makes sense. Just have a little reflection. It's always good to reflect. You know, I'm a firm believer in reflection because that's how you get better, that's how you learn, and that's how you assess. So, yeah, big up Joe. Show some love for Joe in the chat, man. How are you, Joe?
I'm good. I'm not enjoying the international break. I miss football already, even though we're only like 4 games into the season. But, I mean, I suppose there's nothing really you can do about it. You're just going to kind of put up with it because, I mean, they happen every year. They're just very, very boring.
They are shit. This stream will be about half an hour long because Ireland are playing France at 7:45, and I kind of want to see us against France. I assume we'll get slapped up, but you know, you can cross your fingers, but I don't hold that much hope. But listen, let's talk about the main thing. That's Manchester City. That's why we're all here. That's why you're here. That's why I'm here. That's why all of you in the chat are here to chat about our beloved football club. Like I said, smash a like on the stream. The season has been perfect. It's been perfect to say the least. To start off, we had 4 fixtures: Burnley, Newcastle, Sheffield United, and Fulham. Typically, we start off the season very slow. It's a bit ropey. It's a bit underwhelming, and we take a while to find our rhythm. But as of Kyle Walker's supposed contract extension, which hasn't been formally announced yet, I don't believe, quotes came out that Kyle Walker said to the group, why don't we try and blow it away? Why don't we try and win it earlier than the last day like we did in 17-18, which is obviously a really ambitious thing to say because it's much easier said than done, but it just shows that the hunger is still there, and you can't argue that so far so good, I suppose, Joe.
No, but it's an absolutely mental quote considering we're now setting ourselves challenges to try and make the Premier League interesting, to try and be fun with it, to try and do something because, I mean, seemingly that's out of boredom. Like, we're sick of playing catch-up, let's run away with it again. It's like setting your own challenges for trying to win a Premier League title. You shouldn't be doing that. There should be other teams around you pushing you all the way, but it kind of shows the level that we're at. And, I mean, I suppose when you look at the 4 fixtures, I'd say the one that, I mean, at least from my point of view, that I would say would have thought would have been one of the easier ones was actually one of the harder ones that we played. Sheffield United, they really gave us a good go. It took a last-minute winner from Rodri. So, I mean, I think it's the best start we've had under Pep. So, I mean, this is unprecedented. It looks like we could run away with it, which is a scary thought, really. Considering that we've just come off the back of a Champions League success, you're thinking, can we go back to back? If we run away with the league, we can focus on other competitions.
Yeah, Joe, you look lang apparently, so congratulations on that. But I agree, the Sheffield United game was probably made the most difficult. But a conversation I've been kind of having with my own friends, and I've said to the City Extra subscribers, those of you who watch regularly, you'll know that I feel more confident this season about winning the league at this stage than I did at this stage last season, because for some reason I just don't look at anybody and go, you're going to be our challenger, you're going to be our problem. I think everybody else looks less convincing than they did previously, if that makes sense. Obviously, Liverpool doing quite well. They had a tough run of fixtures and they started off the season well with all circumstances considered. But Arsenal, who everyone tipped to be our biggest pushers this year, they spent the big dough in the summer. They ain't convincing me. Do you know what I mean? Like, they dropped points at home to Fulham, who we slapped up 5-1 a week later. They made difficult work of the Man United game. I mean, they got away there. They got away. I think they were the better team of the day, but that just shows how shit Man United are. I wasn't convinced by either. I mean, is there anybody? I know it's early doors, and I said this on the stream last night that my prediction could change, my opinions could change in a month's time. But after the first, round of fixtures, first little round of fixtures, is there anybody you look at and go, they're going to prevent us from running away with it or winning it easy like Kyle Walker wants to?
No, not really. Like, I agree with everything you say. Like, Arsenal, you've tweeted about this, and I've seen it a lot myself. They just don't look convincing. They don't look like they're at the same level they were last season. I mean, if you go back to last season, that first half of last season from Arsenal was probably one of the best ever, just in the Premier League era. They were almost perfect. They were almost flawless, and they still didn't come away with the Premier League title. And then you look at this year, they've already dropped points to Fulham, and I think the thing that really makes that worse for Arsenal is that Fulham were down to 10 men. Fulham were 2-1 down and down to 10 men before they scored that equaliser, which is not a good look for Arsenal. They were lucky that Garnacho was offside when they played Man United. I think if that goal was allowed, I don't see Arsenal winning that game. I think Arsenal probably lose that game, if anything. So they're getting a little bit lucky already. We're 4 games in, and they've already got a lot of luck, and they just don't look like the same team. I know they're still waiting for Gabriel Jesus to come back, but he's not like... I don't pin him as a big, big difference maker because he just doesn't score enough goals playing up front. He just doesn't. We know that firsthand. We've seen it over the years. I don't think he's big enough of a difference maker to make Arsenal take that next step to where they were last season. It's almost like they've gone backwards. I know they've got a few new signings, which, of course, again, we know sometimes it takes a while for new signings to set in, but I mean, I'm just looking at Kai Havertz playing football, and I don't see what they've bought. I don't know what they've bought with Kai Havertz. He's making them worse, if anything, in my opinion. I just don't see it, and Arteta's persisting with him. Will his, I don't want to say arrogance, but will his stubbornness sort of, take a hit on the team with playing Kai Havertz, because he's not really producing the goods at the moment. That's something that could pin them back. And then I look at Liverpool and they're doing well. It reminds me slightly of the Liverpool of old, where they're very jammy, where they're just getting results out of nowhere, sort of thing. That when they were down to 10 men against Bournemouth, they still went on and won that game. But I just look at, they're playing McAllister as a holding midfielder. I know they signed Endo, but it's a little bit of a hole that maybe against better opposition with better attacking options, you could possibly exploit their lack of a top holding midfielder, a top anchor in front of that defence. And I still think that defence needed strengthening anyway. So, I don't know. I think we really could run away with it, because I don't see a main challenger at this moment in time.
I'm sure one will emerge. Some team will emerge that goes on like a 5 to 10 game winning streak, whether it's Liverpool. It's going to be one of Liverpool or Arsenal, in my opinion. But based off the first 4 fixtures, neither of them really convinced me. I mean, the thing with Arsenal is this is a unique season for Arsenal that they haven't had in a long time, where they're actually under pressure from the off. Like, they're under the microscope from the very first minute, because last or 2 seasons ago, it was a case of they had to get top 4 to get Champions League. We all know they bottled that. Last season, no one expected them to be in a title race, so the microscope wasn't like properly on them. It was kind of like, if they do it, it's an unbelievable thing, but no one's expecting them to. And now with the money they've pumped in and the run they had last season, the expectation on them is to one up that and go and win the Premier League. So there's a different level of pressure on Arsenal that they've not had in a long time, since it predates Mikel Arteta. It probably goes back to the Wenger years when they were actually expected to win the English Premier League. So I think the pressure on Arsenal, it could get to them, and it might be getting to them. The fact that from the time before a ball was kicked, everyone was saying you should win the Premier League, or you should have aspirations of winning the Premier League this season at Manchester City. But I mean, this time last year, they wouldn't drop those points at home to Fulham. They simply wouldn't. They were in too high spirits. They were untouchable. People were saying that they were unbreakable after 10 games, kind of thing. Like, the pressure's on with Arsenal. But let's talk a bit about City. Obviously, we're 4 from 4. We played Burnley first. I'm going to get our fixtures up here, or our results up, because I forgot who scored in each game. And obviously, Haaland is top of the pops when it comes to scoring and City results. First 4 games, we had we had Burnley 3-0. We had the Sevilla game. Then we had Newcastle 1-0, Sheffield United 2-1. So the Burnley game, that was the one where we lost Kevin De Bruyne, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Burnley.
he went off after 20 minutes.
What did you think when De Bruyne went off and we got the news that he was going to be out for 4 months? What were your initial thoughts?
Disappointed, because I was thinking that surgery in the preseason period was probably the best option, considering what he said himself, that his hamstring just fell off. Like, that he wasn't attached anymore after that Champions League final, and he pushed himself. I was thinking surgery's possibly the best option. We were all sat here thinking, or at least I think most of us were sat here thinking, he was going to miss the start of the season. And off he pops. He's coming off the bench in the Community Shield and he's starting the first game of the season. I was fearful. I was slightly fearful in the back of my mind that it was too soon, especially because he didn't have surgery. I was slightly fearful that he would re-aggravate it, maybe not to the extent of missing loads of time like he is now. But I was slightly worried when he did it, and I suppose after 20 minutes when it happened, I feared the worst as soon as it happened. Like, I feared the worst, because the first thought for me was, has he done the same thing that he did just a few weeks ago? Has he made it worse? And, I mean, it turns out he has. But, yeah, man, I think it was too soon. I don't know who, like, there's not a single person I can put to blame. Like, I can't blame anyone, but I think it's slightly naive from everybody to basically clear him for action and let him start the first game of the season after the injury he had, especially at the age he is. He needs to look after himself, because he can't let injuries, like, bring his career to a premature end, because at his age he's not going to recover like he used to.
I know hindsight's a beautiful thing, and you can look back now and go, he should have had the surgery in June, straight after the Champions League final. But as you mentioned there, his age, like, if you get surgery now at this age, it's less likely to be a successful surgery or a proper healing process than would be, if he was 25. So he was obviously hesitant to do that, and you take the risk. It's literally a 50-50. Either it heals fine and it doesn't recur and you forget about it, or else exactly what happened against Burnley is what happens, and that's what happened. Kevin De Bruyne's hamstring went again, and he's out for 4 months. And at that stage, I was kind of saying, damn. I mean, I was kind of looking at it two ways. The first way is, if it's going to happen, I'd rather it happen now than in March, April, or May. The second way I was saying was, I don't want to lose any ground to anybody early doors. You know what I mean? I don't want anybody to get a head start on us without Kevin De Bruyne. The whole thing about starting slow was stuck in my mind, and I was like, to avoid starting slow, I would like Kevin De Bruyne there fit and firing. We all would, but we've done well. We've done well. I think it's fair to say we've done okay. The creativity hasn't been at an all-time high, but the thing is, I think someone said it to me in the chat, or someone said messaged it to me after the Fulham game, that when you have Erling Haaland in your team, you can make any tight game look easy. You can make any game where you don't actually dominate the ball as much as you usually would, you don't create as many chances as you usually would, look easy. You can make the scoreline flatter you. I mean, 5-1 against Fulham probably flattered us slightly on the grand scheme of things in the overall balance of play. Fulham had purple patches. Fulham controlled the game more than we would usually allow anybody to at the Etihad. But the difference maker in those situations is you have a cutthroat striker up front who you give him 4 or 5 chances and he's going to bag 3. And that's exactly what happened. So, I mean, in terms of the midfield, like I said, no Kevin De Bruyne means you're taking away a huge amount of creativity. Kovacic has stepped in, and Pep is persisting heavily with the Julian Alvarez playing in midfield too as well. You're seeing Phil Foden slot in there as well. I think he's been excellent. What do you make of the midfield situation and just creativity overall? Because even though Haaland, if you give him the chances, there are going to be games where if you're not creative, he's not going to get the chances.
Yeah, I think Phil Foden has kind of taken that creative responsibility that we all wanted him to take. He's on paper he's playing off the right, but in reality he's not. He's much narrower when we have the ball. He's much more central, and he's basically Kyle Walker playing right wing at times. Instead of having this, John Stones player like Akanji was trying to play, where he just steps up into midfield, we've almost had instead of doing that, Foden's come in from the right into a midfield area and Kyle Walker's pushed on down the right. I think that's something that we've used to pretty good success. I mean, I didn't know whether that was something that we'd try, considering Kyle Walker is a specialist player for us now, or he's more likely to be a specialist player. I know he's won the captain's armband, but he was kept for those Vinicius moments. But so far, he's been integral to doing both roles. He's slotted into that three. He's also bombed down the right. But Foden has been allowed to take up pretty much any position he wants. He's been given the freedom to play pretty much wherever he wants, which has worked out well. I mean, I think it was against Newcastle he created 7 chances or something along that line. Like, he was really, really good. He's been so good this season, and he's kind of stepped into that role. Of course, it's not the same level, because it's not going to be the same level, but he's taken up enough of responsibility to be able to supply Haaland. I mean, Haaland's just got a hat-trick. I know one was a penalty, but he's stepped in and he's allowed Alvarez to get in the team. And I mean, Alvarez has played every game this season, and I'm not a massive fan of him in that number 10 role. I'm going to be honest, I don't think it properly suits him, but he's still done well. He's got the winner against Newcastle. He's linked up well with Haaland. He always runs. I think it works to an extent, but I don't think it's like a long-term thing. I think it's almost like while we were searching around for a midfielder, because we signed Nunes, while we were searching around for another midfielder to come in, I think Alvarez has deputised there pretty well, and Kovacic fits like a glove. An absolute dream. It's a really, really, really good sign. Looks better every single day. He is so unbelievably good at what he does. He still needs things that he might need to work on. Of course, his shooting is a little bit of a concern, but it hasn't hurt us, because like you said, when you've got Haaland up front, you can make a tight game look easy, because he will just score.
That's just Erling Haaland for you, isn't it? Before we go on any further, if you do me a favor, nearly 100 in the building, just smash a like on the stream. It massively helps myself and the City Extra team get more people in the community, and subscribe if you're new around here. Joseph MCFC says, does Joe go to games? Would be cool to have 2 people on a match day vlog. Would be sick. Joe does go to games a couple times a season. He goes every now and then. So when Joe goes to a game, he'll join me in a vlog, I'm sure, no doubt. So we'll get Joe on a vlog whenever he's around. Hopefully you might go a bit more this season, Joe.
Yeah, I'll have more time to go this season, hopefully.
Yeah, well, if Joe goes more, he'll be on the vlogs. There was another one here. Yeah, I think Shabby says, I think 10 role suits Alvarez more right now than striker. I disagree, Shabby, if I'm being honest. I disagree. I think Alvarez, I've said this to you guys so many times, he's hardwired to want to be close to goal. He's hardwired like a fox in the box. He just wants to be in range of shooting all the time. He wants his first or a second touch to be a shot. He's not ready yet to scan. He's not ready yet to read the play the way a top level or a treble winning midfielder would. And that's not to say he can't grow into it, but he's definitely not ready for it right yet. I'd much rather a Foden Kovacic midfield or obviously De Bruyne if he's fit, but he's not right now. So I think Pep sees a future for Alvarez in the number 10 role, but I don't think he's ready for it just quite yet. But as we know, Pep really wants to find a system where you can get Haaland, De Bruyne, and Alvarez in the same team, which is hard to do. It'll take time to perfect. Yeah, he's a striker. Exactly. He's a striker. He's not a 10. But, Pep, man, he's got ideas. He's going to try things, and you have to back him more often than not to get them right. So that's kind of the midfield situation until De Bruyne gets back. We'll just have to see how it goes. And I'm really impressed with Foden so far. I really am. We spoke a lot before the season started about how Foden has to stand up and, really take on that responsibility of being a main enforcer in the team now, a creative enforcer. And he's showing every sign of taking that responsibility well, if that makes sense. His chance creation is really high. He's getting assists. He changed the game when he came on against Sheffield United for me. I'm not sure we win that game ultimately against Sheffield United without the Phil Foden substitution. I think he came on and added a creative spark that we were missing. Before he came on, for me, we were kind of just cross Chester City again. And then he came on and he was actually breaking between the lines and creating chances. So Phil Foden is he's going to be a main man this season, and he started off really, really well. I'm not saying he's the best player on the team at it. Just it suits him right now. He's doing well, Alvarez. I just don't think it's his best position. I'm not saying he's poor at what he's doing right now. I just think it's not his most optimal area of the pitch to be in. But you know what I'm saying. I agree with what you guys are saying, the premise. And Julian has slotted several passes to Haaland for goals. Not KDB levels best suited for that second striker role. Exactly. I think he's doing very well. He's had a great start to the season, Alvarez. But I still think he's just a striker. It is what it is. Let's move on a bit to Jeremy Doku. I do want to chat about Jeremy Doku. Obviously got his debut last weekend. I was there, 5-1 against Fulham. Before I suppose I go into it myself, What do you make of Doku signing and I suppose his first appearance for City on the weekend?
I think that I was very surprised that we started out against Fulham with Docker on the right and Foden on the left, with a right foot on the right and a left foot on the left. I was slightly surprised. I think it got better once we switched the wings, once Doku went onto the left and Foden went onto the right. I think it looked a lot better. I mean, Doku, it's still early days. We know he's very, very raw as a talent. Like, he's very young, he's inexperienced, he has no experience at the Premier League or at this level, and he hasn't even met the manager yet. Like, Pep's been away since he signed and he hasn't met the manager, so I'm still expecting him to get better. I'm just... There's a couple of clips. There was that one clip going around where he was on the right and he does a little body feint and then he skips past his man to the byline and puts a cross in. That's exactly what we've been missing. We have not had that for a couple of years now, and that is exactly what we signed Doku for. We signed him to be a difference maker, a plan B, someone who can give us something different, whether it be from the bench or from the start of the game. Someone with a bit of pace, which is going to suit... I'd say it's going to suit us in the bigger games with teams that are going to come and press us with space in behind. You're looking at Liverpool playing a high line. That is something that Doku could really, really exploit. Could be a difference maker off the bench. So I'm happy we've signed him because it's something different. It's just something different. I was wanting a plan B winger, even if it was just a bench option. I was wanting someone who could, inject a little bit of pace, and he's going to be great coming off the bench against teams with tired legs. And his dribbling ability is what he's best at. Of course, his output isn't great, but that's, again, refer back to Kovacic. It doesn't matter if he's not scoring loads of goals. We have Haaland up front. That doesn't matter. If he puts one across the 6-yard box, there's a very, very, very high possibility that Haaland's going to be there.
His output's going to improve, though, Doku. Like, it's going to improve. He's still so young, and he's got so much, like you said, he hasn't even met the manager. He's got so much developing to do. I think his output will improve, but it's just what he offers immediately, the different dynamic. I mean, it was this LB 1998 says, Doku versus Dan Burn, I'll be there. Like, that's a matchup that you think Doku would be licking his lips for. He'd be saying, I want to take him on. Brian says, what do you think about Oscar Bob? Will he be getting minutes this season? Because I think that boy is very talented. I must say, Joe, Oscar Bob, he showed a bit of something when he came on against Fulham.
That bit of footwork, I think City put it out as a clip. I saw it on TikTok. That footwork that he did when he came on and you skip past his man in the middle. I mean, he could have scored, or he could have at least had a shot. There was one point where he gets it on his left foot in the box and he kind of hesitates. And I think he'll almost be kicking himself that he didn't at least try, because it was 5-1 or 4-1 at the time when he did that. But he looks good. I was impressed with him in pre-season, and the word is that he's essentially the Cole Palmer replacement. He's going to take that Cole Palmer role of whenever there's a chance to bring him on, or whenever there's a chance to have him get a game, he'll be there. He'll be there and waiting, and he will be trusted to, contribute small bits for now. He's still in development, but I'm excited, man, because I liked him in pre-season. Pep trusted him a lot in pre-season.
I like Oscar Bob. I'm a fan of him. I am. Vortex says so did Gomez. Gomez did excellent for Haaland's last goal when he took on the fullback, and he does look more at home as a winger, Sergio Gomez. That doesn't come as much of a shock considering he is a winger that was playing at fullback. But no, he did. He looked really good, and maybe that little assist he got or that little run he made will put him up Pep's rankings a bit. Maybe move him up the pecking order, and he might get more opportunities. But I suppose last conversation topic is the Champions League. Man, we gave our brown bag over and we rigged the draw once again. We got Red Star Belgrade, Young Boys from Switzerland, and Leipzig. We play Leipzig again. Any thoughts on that draw, Joe? For me, people who were in the draw watch along with us, they'll know I wasn't too impressed with it.
I'm not either. Like, we beat Leipzig 7-0 last year, and we've taken their best defender. Like, that's our toughest competition in the group. I'd expect us to qualify either way, whichever group we got. That's sort of the expectation. But, like, I'll make it interesting. Like, we had PSG a couple of years ago. That was fun. But I suppose you get what you're given, really, isn't it? So, like, we just got Newcastle in the Carabao Cup, so I don't know, maybe it's like a slightly easier one this time around. I don't know. I don't really have many thoughts. It's hard to say anything, because Leipzig is the hardest team we got, and we pumped them last year.
See, for me, when the Champions League draw comes around, I know we're going to qualify. You know what I mean? I know we're going to get through the group stages. Like we must get through the group stages. We will. So whenever it comes around, I'm always looking at it saying this is an opportunity for a fun European away day. So we got Switzerland, one of the most expensive countries in the world. We got Belgrade, which is essentially a war zone, and we've got Leipzig, a place we've been twice in the last 2 years. So they didn't bless me there with away days, but the City Extra community are hell bent on sending me to Belgrade. I can confirm, chat, I am going to Belgrade at home on the 19th, and there'll be a vlog and fan cams for that, as long as everything goes to plan. So I'll be at Belgrade at home. I will see about Belgrade away. I will see about the safety of that operation. So, listen, the Champions League, it's one of those ones that you want to qualify as soon as possible. Maybe give some of the likes of Calvin Phillips, Gomez, Oscar Bob a chance in the last sort of 2 games if we qualify nice and early. But the lads have to go and do it in the first 4 games or so. So we'll just keep an eye on that, and hopefully we get the job done. But listen, it was a quick stream. We're going to wrap it up now. I want to go and watch the Ireland versus France match. It's going to kick off in 3 minutes, so I want to watch that. Jody Porty's still on holidays, so you're stuck with me, people. You're stuck with me and whatever guests I bring on for until he's back, I think, on Tuesday. So appreciate all of you coming in to chat to me. Big up, and of course, as Joe as well. Big up to Joe. For stepping in when I needed someone to chat to keep me entertained along with you lot. So gonna wrap it up. Smash a like on the stream if you would. It massively helps us. I know the international football period is not very exciting for me or for any of you lot. So we're doing our best. We're making do. And we'll see you tomorrow with some more streams.